Welcome back, Shalligators. I know I've left you hanging for a little while. It's not my fault. I was hanging out in real life with some of you guys out in Tulum with the Trend 45 trip, but I'm back for like a day because tomorrow I leave again for another Trend 45 trip with more Shalligators. You guys are coming from all over the world, Germany, Israel, all over America. I cannot wait. I'll tell you about it in a second. But what we want to talk about today is favorites. Now, the Kardashians have ended their reality show. Oh, I am sad. I just find it so soothing. I love that show. But they're doing a reunion, a 2-part reunion with Andy Cohen. And on the first part, Kris Jenner talked about her favorite child. And most people thought it was going to be Kylie or Kim, because it was always the joke that it was the one whoever was making the most money. But she actually said it was Kendall. We're going to break down why she said that. And most importantly, what do we do if mom has a favorite and it's not us? What do we do to heal that sort of emotional wound? How can we, in a way, reparent ourselves? And we're going to look at the motivations for why parents have different and favorite children. So if you are a parent yourself, this could be helpful for you so that you don't skew one way or another for your little bebes and grow up to make some fucking monsters who are going to charge you $1 million in therapy bills. Right? But before we get started, just want to remind you guys to check out Evil Week. While I was gone, I didn't leave you completely hanging. We had Evil Week premiering over on flays.com. I taught you how to live without guilt because, we do Evil Week a lot. Not a lot. We should do it more. But I could talk evil all day, but if you're not receiving the message because you feel like you have to be a good person, I tell you how to dismantle guilt and obligations that aren't serving you. I also tell you how to dismantle someone else's fucking relationship. I tell you how to break a couple up and how to be a hoe in a small town, how to date within the same friend group, basically how to gaslight guys. It's so much easier than you think. Manipulation 101. Although at this level, we are so high level at Evil Week, it's more like level 301, grad student. PhD of Evil University. So go ahead and check that out. The links are down there in the bio. Let's talk moms. Let's talk Kris Jenner. So on this reunion, all the Kardashians were there. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry, another little aside. Kylie's face. I feel like on the two sides of the stage, you had Kendall, Kourtney, and Kim, right? They looked fantastic. Kendall is mostly natural. She's had some lips. Kourtney is the most natural. Kim has probably had the most done, but dude, she looks banging. She looks so good. And so you had that side of the room. And then you had Khloe and Kylie. And I'm like, what have you two done to yourselves? Kylie, it's clearly more than the lip injections. And Khloe, she looks like her eyes are squinty. Her face is so overfilled. Her lips are uneven. I am not knocking anyone for getting filler. I'm going to New York. I'm going to get some filler too. I love a good filler. Great. But I'm like, are you guys all going to different doctors? Is Kim going to just the cream of the crop and Khloe and Kylie are carpooling to Tijuana with a Groupon? Where are you doing it yourselves in a gas station bathroom? Just let it settle, girls. You're naturally all very beautiful. You don't need this. But I digress. So they were talking about the favorite child. And yeah, the joke is it's always whoever is making the most money. And Kim and Kylie are the billionaires. But Kris said, growing up, she's like, Kendall was my favorite child because she was the easiest. Kendall would say, she'd be 10 or something and be like, okay, mommy, I'm done for the day. My room is clean. And she'd put herself to bed, and Kendall's like, yeah, I was very independent. I think this is very, very significant, right? Because you guys are young. And not all of you, and some of you might be parents, but I'm going to guess the majority of you aren't. Now that I'm an adult and I have just as many parent friends, mom friends, as I do non-mom friends, and looking at how hard my mom friends work at being a mom and how much they care and how much they pour into their kids. Everything is about their kids. They really do have healthy balances in their life, but it's this little creature you got to keep alive. They appreciate an easy child. And certainly Kris having 6 kids, you know what? Yeah, you're going to look at the one who can be a little bit more independent, who isn't nagging you, who can take care of herself, who's a little chill and be like, thank you. I fucking love you. Conversely, Kris said that the kid who gave her the most lip was Kourtney. And Kourtney's the firstborn. And I've done a lot of research on this subject because, full disclosure, I'm an only child. You guys know that. It's not a secret. But it's the concept of not being the favorite, like, not only am I the favorite, I'm like a messiah. Like, I'm the only child. It's like, I mean, it's like kind of the root of my narcissism, you know? Like, I was overloved in a lot of ways. And I look at people who feel like they're the black sheep of their family, and like my heart breaks for you. I cannot imagine that. And I did a lot of research. I read a lot of articles on what to do when there's a favorite child in the family. And do you know who most of those articles were written for? The fucking parents. I didn't find one that was written for the kids. Not one. And it was all like the advice. I mean, it was like this whole laundry list of like how this is going to impact a child. But then the advice was like, you know, like, listen and like hear them out. And, you know, if your kid says, I'm not your favorite, just like hear them out. It's like, the advice was like, it just didn't exist. It's like these authors and these doctors wrote themselves into a corner and they're just like, well, I don't know. And I think that that's very telling. That there isn't one linear path. There isn't just like this easy book of advice when you're not mom's favorite. But I'm smarter than most doctors, so I came up with some advice. But first, we got to break down how favoritism happens, okay? So there's a few different ways. Like we say with Kendall and Kris, like I'm going to put my notes over here. Why? Because I don't like this side of my face. I like this profile, so I always want to turn this way. It's true. So one of the reasons is like, they're the easiest child, right? That's, and you can get it. Another way is like culturally, maybe they're hardwired to love boys more than girls, or like the athletic one more than like the nerd kid in whatever culture they're in. Do you know Grace Kelly, the actress who became the princess? She was like always a very sort of like kind of emo person because she was not her parents' favorite. Now you might think that a woman who became an Oscar winner and a princess would like, I don't know, get a few gold stars from mom and dad. No, because her dad was an Olympian. He was a former, I think he was like a rower. And the only thing he cared about was his children's athleticism. And all her siblings were like very athletic. And she was like beautiful, delicate theater kid. And he was like, ugh. Like he was not happy when she won an Oscar. He's like, but have you won a gold medal? And she was like, you know, but in the culture of their family, that's what was valued, and it fucked her up in a big way. So a favorite child is also likely to be one that reflects the values of the parent. Why? Think about the inherently narcissistic act of having a child. You're replicating yourself. People, it's like, oh, I'm just so selfless. I want to have a baby. I mean, I look at my mom friends, I'm like, you are the most selfless person. But also, at the core of parenthood, it is self-replication. Because I have reached a point where I do not think that I want children. I mean, maybe my mind will change. I don't know. I'm a late bloomer. I could see myself adopting later in life. But for now, I'm like, no. But when I think about, oh my God, what if I never have kids? It's like, what if there's not another little me and I'm so fabulous? I mean, it's an ego-driven decision. These genes need to carry on. If we didn't actually believe that, IVF and all that shit wouldn't exist. Would it? No. Everyone would simply adopt. Well, I want to be a mom, so okay, I don't need to birth this thing out of my body. That's fine. But when it comes down to it, no, you want to birth this thing out of your fucking body. You need your genes to live on, okay? So because of this, because of that inherently narcissistic genetic replication motivation, we are going to value offspring who reflects ourselves back. We want to know this worked. Who wants to have a child that's very different from you? I mean, in some ways, you want your child to be like, oh, wow, like, that's so cool. They're into something different. But I remember my mom would tell her friends when she was pregnant with me, because they're like, are you nervous? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, I know I'm going to love her. I just hope that I like her. And they're like, what? And she's like, it happens. I'm going to birth out a person. They're going to have their own individual personality. And sometimes personalities don't mesh. I mean, I bet if you look around, there's a lot of people who don't like their children. They love them, of course. But do they like them? Do you like your parents? Would you choose to be friends with this person if you weren't blood related to them? Sometimes parents favor the healthiest, strongest child. Typically, biologically, this is the oldest child. They're usually the biggest, the strongest. They've got the healthiest genetic mix. And, you know, I mean, you get older, you have more kids, there's more likelihood of things going wrong. You know, you have runts of litters, right? So in the Grace Kelly example, she was the least favorite. She was the youngest and she was the weakest, you know? But sometimes it flips on its head. And I know you guys, a lot of you guys experience this. It's like, no. I'm strong as fuck. I'm smart. I'm independent. My mother is obsessed with my degenerate little sister. Well, this happens when the parent identifies as a caretaker. That's one of their galvanizing true traits. I do not identify as a caretaker. I do not. Even though given what I do for a living, I mean, I take care of you guys, but like, I don't, like one of my friends, and she's actually like Cowboy's nanny when I'm out of town. She's like, I need things to need me. I need to know that like something needs me to take care of it. And I'm like, I've never identified with a statement less. Like, I don't want to take care of anything. I don't even want to like clean my humidifier. I'm like, throw it away, buy a new one, right? I don't like it. I want something independent. But this is like our different sort of culture of our own emotions, right? That plays out in different ways. And again, you guys, I know, experience this. And because I talk to you, and when you submit questions to me, the issues you have with your family, so much of the time it's like, my mom is always giving excuses for my little brother. She's always bailing him out of trouble. I don't ask him for fucking anything. And they're so hard on me. It's so tough for everyone. And I really, like I said, I feel like I'm in this like sort of like in between space where I can see things from the point of view of children. And I can also see it from the point of view of a parent. I'm like, not a girl, not yet a woman. Right? I'm just like an endless woman child. But I can see like my friends and the siblings that they favor. It's almost like what we consider favor is not the same as I like them better. Like they get more attention because they're out of control. They're a maniac. They're disruptive. They're shitty. They're liars and duplicitous. So all the family resources go towards that child. But mom doesn't like that child much. But to the neglected child, it doesn't matter. Resource diversion is resource diversion, right? Attention is attention. When we are children, do we know or care the difference between positive and negative attention if we're in an attention like deficit where we're not getting enough? Maybe not. And we grow up and we see adults who are like this. Girls who start drama and like they don't give a shit if people are talking positive or negative as long as they're talking. They don't care as long as the eyes are on the crisis. It's like how a toddler acts. Like they just need attention. This is kind of where that shit comes from. But there's other fallouts from not being mom's favorite. We have a list. If you're not mom's favorite, and mom, dad, whoever, the first thing you're going to struggle with is intimacy. You're going to come up with these defense mechanisms to keep yourself walled off from connection because your primary bond with your primary caretaker was not sufficient for you. It didn't heal you. It didn't feed you in the way it should. So it's like, if my mother didn't love me or like me or prioritize me, this dude off Tinder probably won't either, right? So I'm not even going to go there. What is the point? Second thing, self-defeating prophecy, right? People who are not the favorite child, very easily defeated. They just have this defeatist complex. What's the point of trying? And it's never going to work out because that was the message they got in their childhood. What's the point of me getting an A? They're always going to look at my dumbass little brother who gets a D and, oh, he needs a special tutor and he gets a day with mom. Yeah, where's my reward for just doing what I should? Or vice versa. Oh, I'm sorry that I'm dyslexic and like my brother is like a valedictorian. Sorry that I'm sorry. I just got here. Like I'm doing the best I can, right? So you have this deep-seated sense that what's the point? And you get it. If your parents if you're not like the big, bright, shining star to your parents, could you ever be one to anyone else? We're going to give you some answers. Another thing's going to happen. Anger. A lot of anger. You can develop personalities that are basically based on anger. You can develop this persecution complex. Everyone's out to get me. No one's ever going to listen to me. Everyone thinks I'm a liar, so I might as well lie. There's going to be this pervasive opinion that hard work isn't rewarded. And again, in some families, we see like this will garner more attention for a non-favorite child. It's like, your degenerate brother, we got to give him money. We got to bail him out. And you're here like, You bought him a Range Rover off the lot. I got straight A's. And you're like, you could have gotten an A+. And he doesn't pay his own fucking rent. Got it. The bitterness that it will sow can feel insurmountable. It can. But it's not. Because I'm here and I'm pretty smart. So here are some things you can do to combat this. Recognize first and foremost, this is your parents' deficiency. It is not yours. You just got here, right? You just showed up. Like, you didn't ask to be born. If there's one thing I have realized, and I usually don't like to speak in absolutes because the mind is complicated, relationships are complicated. I do believe I can speak in absolutes and say that when there is a difficulty between a parent and a child, when there's a fracture of connection, when there's a fracture of attachment, given that, assuming everyone's mentally healthy, not on any sort of spectrum, assuming everything is normal, it's the parent's fault. We are hardwired to love our parents. Mommy! It's a survival mechanism. We don't come out of the womb like picking and choosing, right? We're like, please just love me. Parents don't feel like that. I mean, I remember, like, it doesn't matter, but like I was dealing with a possible pregnancy situation, and I was like, I don't want a baby. And my one friend, she had just had a baby, and she's like, oh, like, but if it's here, like, if you have it, you'll love it. And I'm like, what are you basing that on? We live in New York City. Ride the subway. I see women all the time who literally don't like their children. Maybe they love them, but they don't like them. They're miserable being a parent, And that's not fair to the child. Like, but maybe you do. Maybe you birth it out and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. But that's a hell of a roll of the dice, And that doesn't really seem fair for this little thing that's just like, hey, fuck, what am I doing here? This is crazy. What is this? Right? This is your parents' deficiency. Now, however, this is not a pass to be an asshole. I look at a lot of dynamics with like my mom's friends and her children who are, adults now. And because I've known them for 25 years, I know where those issues started with their kids. And now that the kids are grown, have kids of their own. And it's like, yes, in the beginning, it was the parents' fault, but the kids are now taking up the mantle of being dicks. So look, your parents might have started it, but are you keeping it alive? Are you keeping these negative things alive? Are you poking the hornet's nest? Right? I looked at that with my own mother and my grandmother. Yes, the roots of their discord stemmed from my grandmother. She was an extremely difficult person. I loved her. She was my best friend, but I could look at her and be like, you're a tough cookie. And she and I mesh, like our personalities are very similar. I'm a difficult person too, but my mom isn't. And so they did not like each other. And I would say to my mom, I'm like, Mom, she started it, but you're keeping it going. You're baiting her. You're saying things and you know what's going to happen. And there's a whole thing, but I'm saying this because yes, a parent might be at the root of it. Are you keeping it going? There's a lot of people who are at the root of our problems, whether we get bullied, whether we get labeled something, you're a slut, you're a bitch, you're a dummy, whatever. Are we the ones keeping it going? Either in negative tape loops in our mind, you're right, I am worthless. My boobs are too small. In that cognitive way, or in a behavioral way. Do we keep going back to this? Who do we have to blame? And it's not about blame, it's about, don't you want to be happy? Well, but I'm right. I have the right to say these things to her. Girl, I know, man. I know that. But this isn't the people's court. This is your life. This is your heart and your emotion. Where's this getting you? How's this working out? I digress. So as I was doing research for this, the main sort of byproduct of not being the favorite seems to be like the lack of reward system and anger. And the self-defeating, but to me, these are all linked. They all walk hand in hand. If you don't feel like your work in this world, your efforts, your connection, your empathy is being rewarded and mirrored back to you, no shit, you're going to be angry. No shit, you're going to be lazy and defeatist. No shit, you're going to feel victimized and have this victim narrative all the time across every relationship. So, because I'm a very goal-based person, I'm an achievement goal-based person. Like, that's how I am. Like, give me a gold star, give me a fucking chore wheel. Give me a chore wheel. Knock it out of the park, right? I need goals. This is how I'm going to give you guys advice. You have to create your own reward system. Now, of course, you also need to create your own family. So we can digress for a moment. You need to create your own family. I posted just the other day about Father's Day, and it's like, I do the same post every year. Happy Father's Day to all the single mamas doing it all, right? And I lost my father when I was 22. And now that I'm getting older, a lot of my friends have lost their parents, at least one. I mean, a lot of them. And it's just like crushing. I mean, you lose a parent, you might as well be 5. It doesn't matter. You're never like, that's fine. It does not matter. No one's like, no, I'm at the age where I'm totally good losing my parents. Never. But we can choose our family. You know the phrase, I mentioned this in a video before, blood is thicker than water? People misinterpret this all the time. What the full quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. What? The blood of the covenant, and the word covenant means like promise, a bond. And this refers to battle. This, at the time, it referred to like going into battle with your brother in arms. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So we think, oh, blood, yeah, we're blood. No, it doesn't mean that. It's the blood you spill with your comrades, the triumphs and the heartaches you go through moving through this life with people who you look eye to eye and say, you are my brother. You're standing side by side with me. I choose you to move through this world with. That means more than the water of the womb, than whatever family you were just happened to be born into, right? I mean, you didn't choose. You had no say in it. This tells me that friendships, the bonds of friendships, because they are purposeful, because they are, I wake up every day and I choose you as my best friend. I choose you as my husband. This is strength. This is the bond. We've done videos on how to be happily unmarried about like Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And she said, and there was like even an Oprah like thing. It was like Oprah, Susan Sarandon, and Goldie Hawn, all unmarried, all long-term coupled up. And they're like, I wake up and I choose this person. I don't feel trapped. I don't have to be here because I can't afford to get divorced. Like, I choose you. And there's something really beautiful in that. And there truly is a stronger bond there when you know it's like, again, this goes back to how we feel about kids. I'm not just like you. And again, this goes back to what my mom had said about, how she felt before having me. I don't just love you, I like you. I'm not just obligated to take care of you. I choose to. You're here for a reason in my life, a purposeful one. This isn't just drudgery for me. I say this because we have not only the right, but the obligation to choose our family. I am an only child with one parent. My mom was an only child, so was my father. So we're 3 out of 4 of my grandparents. I don't really have cousins. Like, we are an island. And my friends are my family. When I say someone is one of my best friends, and I call almost all of my friends my best friends because they are. Like, I simply don't have I don't have acquaintances. Like, if you're in, you're in. This is like a walled city, If you're part of this group, ride or die for the end. That means a lot to me. And I've done this because I've understood that even though I was my mom's favorite, there was simply only one of her. And it's like, she can only give me so much of my emotional needs. My love tank needs more. I'm going to go find more family. I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to create the bonds which I lack. I didn't have a daddy. I don't have people like giving me, my mom gives me amazing advice, but usually there's more than one person in a family. I went out and I found people who fulfilled that need. Is it the same? No. Do I wish I had a dad? Yeah, who wouldn't? Who doesn't want that perfect, happy family? But bitch, you play the cards you're fucking dealt. Got it? This is just how it shakes down sometimes. And I literally remember being 5 years old and realizing this. My mom and I had a fight over like blocks or something. And she was like, not having it. Wasn't having my bullshit. And I looked myself in the mirror and I thought, this is going to be a long life if we don't get along. It's going to be a long life, right? And I I made it a priority to get along with her. And therefore, as I got older, I made it a priority to have real people in my life, my actual friends. You have the right to be someone's favorite. And look, being someone's favorite, we want it to be set in stone. Like, you're my favorite forever, no one's coming above. The reality is life just kind of doesn't work like that all the time. You guys are probably too young for MySpace, but I remember MySpace, and you had like the top 8. You know, you drag your friends in there. Well, the top 8, you could move around based on who turned out to be sleeping with who. But you could do that. You could move it around. Life is sort of like that. I have like my top 8. And like one day, Becca might be my number 1. The other day it might be Christine, then it's Madison, then it's Abby. You know, they shift around, but they're all shifting around within the same level. They're football players being traded within championship teams. It doesn't matter. You're all still in this elite level of my life. And when I can accept that that's how I am to other people, okay, it's easier. Now, granted, it's much easier for me because I am my mom's favorite. I mean, she kind of didn't have a choice, right? I won by default. Participation trophy, yes. But I do have more of those emotional needs met. But I choose to focus on that instead of the needs that I didn't get met by my father. I really don't even think about it. It's like thinking about a prehensile tail or something. Well, how can I miss what I never had? I didn't have a tail. And I know you're thinking, okay, well, no, I can miss what I didn't have because my brother has it. I know. But are you going to get bitter or are you going to get better? This is at play. This is happening. You can sit your parents down and you can speak to them frankly and be like, I just feel deprioritized here. I feel like you're really hard on me. I feel like no matter what I do, it's not enough. They might not know this. And one of my good friends, her parents are really, really hard on her and they're so easy on her like degenerate brother and it makes her insane. And I'm like, I think they're doing that though because they just hold you to a higher standard. Like the bar is so low for him. Like, you got a job at Jimmy John's. Like, they're proud of him because they know like he's never going to do any better. And she's like, but I still need praise too. I'm like, but they might not know that. Like they literally just might not know. They might look at you and be like, I need to praise her more. She's amazing. Like she's amazing. She's doing fantastic. Like the whole world praises her. She's successful. She's rich. She's beautiful. Like how does she not know we value her like that? I had to say this to my mom even recently. Like, she doesn't brag about me. I remember like a year ago or it was a while ago, but one of my mom's friends asked her how my TV show was doing. And my mom's like, Shallon doesn't have a TV show. And her other friend was like, yes, she does. She's on a TV show right now. She's on this like, you know, true Hollywood divorce thing. And my mom's like, oh. That's right. I went to Toronto to film it with her. She's like, yeah. She's like, I've told everyone. You haven't told anyone? And I was like, not, she was telling me about it, like, you know, in the, like this sort of like embarrassed way. But I was like, I do need you to brag about me. I do. And she's like, Shallon, my friends' kids are such losers. They're such losers that I just feel so bad bragging about you. Like, oh, they're on their 4th stint in rehab? Well, Shallon's on a fan trip in Mexico. Like, she's like, what kind of asshole would I be if I did that? And it's like, I get it, but I'm like, but I need it. So maybe if you don't brag, can you just tell me that you did? And she's like, okay. You know, or just brag to me. Like, I need that accolades. We all need that. And parents, they literally forget, you know? So sit down and have an honest talk with them. But I'm going to go back to what I had said earlier. Develop your own reward system. I don't care if it's something as simple as a chore wheel, right? You get a little gold sticker every time you eat a healthy meal, right? You get 2 gold stickers when you work out. This can help you reparent yourself. And actually, the more sort of like juvenile you make it, the more deeply satisfying it might be. Because on one hand, I want you to set big goals. You know, like when I hit $45,000 a year in salary, I will count myself as successful. That is my definition of success. And I will do X, Y, and Z to celebrate. I'm going to book a trip to the spa. I'm going to buy myself a new pair of shoes. I'm going to And then we're going to celebrate for a week. Like, get really, really, really granular about this. Really granular. Because humans like rituals. That's why we like Catholicism, funerals. We need ritual. And then I'm going to celebrate for a week. And then we're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to make a new goal. And we're going to start working towards that. So you need that on one end. Okay. You need really big, those big emotional financial, logistical, whatever goals. And I want you to have a bunch, not just one, a bunch. When I can have a full conversation at a McDonald's in Portuguese, I will count myself as successful. We're going to celebrate by doing XYZ, then we're going to refine and set a new goal. But I also want you to have it, like I said, on the juvenile side. I get a gold star every time I make my bed. If I make my bed every day for a week, I get frozen yogurt. Reparent yourself. Be the thing you didn't get. Also, find something else to parent. Don't have a baby to fix your issues. I don't care if it's a house plant or a tarantula or a hound dog named Cowboy. Having Cowboy has been like very therapeutic for me. I can like parent him. I mean, I had an excellent parent, so there was not a lot of truly like work to do there, but it has almost made me like more empathetic as a daughter because I see just how difficult it is. And it's a dog. It's a dog. Like he's so good. He threw up the other day and like if I had thrown up, like I'd be in bed for just, I need all this pity. And he's like, I feel fine now. Just running and jumping. Like he's so resilient and so easy. But like it's given me a lot of empathy. I'm like, holy shit. Can you imagine if I was taking care of this thing and he had also exited my body? Right? And it makes me look at anything we can do to get more empathy for our parents is going to ultimately help our relationship. Do not cut off your nose to spite your face. My parents don't deserve any empathy. Look at how they've treated me. Great. How's that working out for you? You feel good? Or do you feel angrier? Do you feel more divided or do you feel closer? Do you feel more at peace? Or do you feel right? What is all this righteousness adding up to? Happiness? Better relationships in the rest of your life? No. Is it fair that you would have to cultivate empathy for people who you feel wronged you? No. But we can be right or we can be happy. You know? And I wish the word fair didn't even exist, unless we're talking about a county fair. Fair is not a thing. It doesn't exist. Equality doesn't exist. Whether we're talking globally or like on the micro in our own relationship, it does not exist because the heart and the mind and human behaviors do not break down that way. They just don't. And when we can let go of the concept that life owes us this fairness, that our parents even owe us this fairness, then we can start to live. And then we can start to heal. And I know what you're thinking. My parents did owe me fairness. They did owe me a fighting fucking chance to be valued and rewarded and heard and listened to. I agree with you. But from their point of view, they were doing the best that they could. I know. And you're like, well, they didn't do a good job. I believe you. A lot of people who are doing the best they can are still doing a piss poor job. If you drafted me in the NBA, I would do the best I could and I would be horrible at it. Right? You're like, I'm doing the best I can. Intentions don't mean shit though, you know? But again, if you flip this on its head and let go of the idea that your parents do owe you that, as radical as that sounds, and it is, maybe on the other side of that, there's a lot of healing. You know what my mom owed me? A roof over my head, 3 meals a day, paying for my college. Hey, okay, what if we just radically lower the bar? What if we radically lowered the bar? And by doing that, we were able to feel happy when our needs get met, because now our needs have been shrunk. And therefore, we can outsource the needs that we aren't getting met. Hey, you know what my mom owes me? 3 meals a day, a roof over my head. So what needs am I not getting met? Well, someone to listen to me, someone to tell me good job. Where can I find that? I don't know, maybe I could join the volleyball team. They tell me good job if I do a good job. I would have a very rigid metric of success. And then I could start getting those needs met. And then maybe I could look at my parents for who they are, accept them, practice radical acceptance, and move forward creating a life where I am in charge of meeting my own needs. Because you know what that is? That is life. That is life. And it sucks. It sucks. Of course it's not fair, but we don't operate in terms of fairness, do we? Weaklings do. People looking for excuses do. It's not fair. Okay. No successful person operates under that. None of them, right? Of course it's not fair. You pick yourself up, you keep fucking moving, you find a way to create the outcomes that fairness should have created. Getting into the school, getting the job, being successful, finding love. You find a way around that shit. Fair is a one-lane highway with a big fucking rock slide blocking the path. That's what fair is. You're just like, toot toot, ah! Oh, come on, what are you doing? Moving out of the, I don't know. That's what fair is. Success, finding a way around that route. Finding a different path to your destination. People focused on fair are going to sit in front of that rock slide for a really long time. And life is going to pass them by. And they're going to get angrier and angrier. And when that rock slide, if it ever finally clears out of the way, they're going to get to the destination that the smarter people got to ages ago without all that bitterness? Huh. Interesting. None of this is easy. None of this is easy. And to try to fix a mother wound or a parent wound in one YouTube video, pretty tall order. But hopefully, this will give you just that sliver of objectivity, a little bit of understanding into why parents pick favorites, a little bit of understanding into how this has impacted you, and therefore when you're freaking the fuck out at line at Wells Fargo because you're angry and you're like, you can be like, I don't know if this is the cashiers. I don't know if this is the cashier. I think this actually reminds me of the dynamic with my mom, and that's why I'm getting freaked out. All right, okay, so it's maybe not Mackenzie the cashier. We're just gonna dial it down. Because then you become in control of your emotions. They're not running you. You're looking at them. You're still feeling them. You're like, I at least understand what's going on here. That's a first step to mastery. And you're also coming up with ways to master your own emotional needs and reparent yourself through the acquisition of friends, family, and goal setting. Family. I actually meant to say pets. But you know, that's the point. You get to define family however you want. Because the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I know this isn't easy. We're going to be back again talking more about the Kardashian reunion because Kylie said something that she's happily basically coupled up with Travis. You know, he's not even hot. He seems like such a dullard. Like a root vegetable that you gotta talk to. Like, I don't know. So how we can be happy in a long-term relationship without being married. How to dial down that need to like marry and get that off your plate. And there's going to be more Kardashian reunions, so we're going to be doing more videos. But I do want to warn you guys, this is going to be my summer of slacking. I'm super tired. I'm super burnt out. I'm leaving tomorrow for another 10 days of travel. See you guys. And I'm going to just kind of try to take it a little easy this summer, because I can feel like a major burnout coming, and the last thing I want to do is like start to hate a career that like is my absolute pride and joy and every dream I've ever had in my life. So might not be doing 4 videos a week, might only be 2, sometimes might be 1, but there's always going to be podcasts and Instagram and all sorts of stuff. So don't worry, I would never abandon the Shallon trash. I love you, my shalligators. I'll see you next time.